a city that moves mountains.
Greetings.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick, saying I'm all out of bubblegum, baby.
How you doing today, Dirty Dan?
Goose, if I was any better, I'd have to go home.
Have to go home. Check that music out. Just listen. Let me turn it back up a little bit. Just get you excited, doesn't it?
And it kind of almost sounds like this weird like signal or something I'm detecting. I guess the listeners will have to stay tuned for our stories because I got one on that.
Oh, okay. Well, definitely. Before we get started, we want to let all the listeners know that you can now find the podcast show on the Pandora app and website.
Yes, sir.
This is something we've been working on for quite a while, and we recently were selected, and all of the podcast shows are up and running on the Pandora.
We were handpicked.
Yes, we were. It was a very lengthy process. So,
in a very, very large hand.
yes, but it's definitely worth it. How's your week going? Just getting started this week.
Pretty good. I got a new nickname at work.
Well, what is your nickname? Grease Monkey.
The Crane.
The Crane. Why?
The Crane.
Why do they call you the Crane?
Because we don't have one at work, and I just simply picked up a whole radiator out of a truck and set it on the ground because I didn't want to wait for anyone.
Well, that will work. Now, see, I was thinking classic Karate Kid, Mr. Miyagi movie when you said the Crane.
No.
Okay.
No. I haven't shown off any of my sweet moves yet.
Well, what about Dr. Crane? That would be a good nickname.
I don't have a doctorate.
Well, what about
Mr.
Crazy
Crane?
Mr. That makes you sound old. What
Mrs.
about
Crane?
There you go. That is exactly what it is, Mrs. Crane. I am glad that you got a new nickname. Mine is still the same, so I'm still Goose. So there's only one Goose.
I go by many names.
Yeah.
Some are not so safe for radio.
Yeah. Let's we will keep those to the podcast show.
All right, listener email, right?
Yes, turning to listener email. I'll start out this week. Last name Sloan says, "Greetings, Goose, Dirty Dan, and the rest of the gang. It seems like everyone is wanting to watch scary movies due to Halloween coming up. What sci-fi movie would you recommend?" Roswell. So he's not into scary movies. He wants to watch a sci-fi movie. Let's see. I would recommend
Tremors.
Tremors is good. Now, he didn't specify if you wanted a scary sci-fi or if you want a straight new sci-fi movie, go watch some of the new Star Trek movies that they redid. Those are pretty good. If you want a scary sci-fi movie, watch Aliens.
I'm a big Tremors fan.
Tremors is good. What was your favorite Tremors?
Oh, the first one.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely.
Same here. Same here.
If I see the second movie, then I turn it off and go watch the first one.
Okay. Now, do you know that they actually had a entire season of a Tremors TV show?
Yes,
that had
I did.
Kevin Bacon and the other guy, I can't think of his name, and they canceled it before it was even shown.
Yes.
But they'd actually filmed the entire thing.
Wasn't it, what was it, 8 or 10 episodes? 11 episodes?
Maybe 10 or 11 episodes. But that makes me wonder how bad it was if they canceled it before it even got started.
I mean, I'm for no good rhyme or reason, a very huge Kevin Bacon fan. No reason why. Everything he stars in, I just thoroughly end up enjoying, and I get that stomach laugh going on. I don't know why. So even the Invisible Man when they redid that.
Okay, what about the original Friday the 13th? Did you like him in that?
I do.
Okay, man, you are definitely old school.
I mean, I also, I bought an Xbox 360 in 2009 so I could watch DVDs when I went to college.
Well, There you
I don't
go.
play video games. I bought it because it was cheaper than a DVD player. So
Video games are fun. I would recommend Red Dead Redemption.
yeah, but
2.
see, like I drive fast and I shoot guns in real life. So why do I need to like buy more stuff?
Well, see,
to do it fake?
And Red Dead Redemption 2, you can drive a horse really fast. So it's a little bit different.
A horse is not going to go fast with me on it anyway.
Anyway, thank you very much, last name Sloan, for writing in. Dirty Dan, I think you're up next.
Yes, sir. We got Trevor writing in. Says, hello, here to chew bubblegum. Have you ever thought about doing a roundtable on the radio shows? I think would be great.
Well,
Trevor.
Very good idea, Trevor. Very good idea.
Very good idea. However, I think we'd have about 12 weeks off if we did a roundtable on the radio show because of how long they get.
Yeah, it would have to be continued. We have in the past played clips from the roundtable, and we will keep doing that. Coming up soon, very soon, on the radio show, on the podcast show, and a portion of the radio show in the next couple of weeks. On the podcast show, you will hear the entire DJ Nikki interview unedited. And from start to finish, totally unedited. So you will hear that. And you may hear a portion of that on the radio show as well.
And we do have a roundtable coming up.
Yes, we do. We have a roundtable. Before the end of the year, we will have a roundtable. So we're still working out schedules and so forth.
All the stuff you hear on the radio will be without Rebecca in it because we all know she can't really be radio safe.
Well, she can. It just makes for a 3-hour edit session of a 1-hour radio show. So,
but we love her dearly.
Yes, we do. Dearly. Yes, we do. Planet 9 writes in. Says, hey, Goose and Dirty Dan, I just wanted to say happy anniversary and congratulations on being available on the Pandora app. I see big things in your future, Roswell. Thank you very much, Planet 9, and hopefully we do too. We do too. So, I feel very blessed that, Pandora did select us and we got all that worked out. So, because we are now available on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Google Podcast, Spotify, Anchor, anywhere you find quality podcast, you will find us there. There's one more goal that we have in mind, and that is to hit the SiriusXM podcast.
It's not in mind. It's in our sights.
There you go.
We're coming for you, SiriusXM.
In mind, inside. So,
all right, we got Zep writing in. It says, hey, Goose, or Dirty Dan, you've been talking about the unidentified show on the podcast for a few weeks. I watched and still prefer Ancient Aliens.
I agree with you, Zep.
I also do too. I have watched the trilogy of Ancient Aliens, all the seasons, all the episodes multiple times, and finally got Rebecca on that. Anyway, Goose, have you watched Unidentified yet? Why or why not? If you did, what did you think? Thanks for taking time to read my email, and I'll listen for your answer. Roswell, and much love from Georgia.
Well, thank you very much.
Bulldog in the house.
Yes, I did finally get around to watching all 4 episodes. Overall, I give it, on a scale of 1 to 10, overall, I give it a 5. I was not that impressed with the first episode. And if you really want to hear unedited what I think about Demi Lovato's Unidentified, go listen to Here to Chew Bubblegum, episode 51, part 1 of the podcast. And you can find that available now on every platform that's out there, including Pandora.
Yeah, I mean, I overall, I think my average score came out to be a 7.5.
And that's still too high.
No, because you got to understand, I wasn't excited about the show because of Demi Lovato or her stupid friends. I was excited for the actual guests they had on there. The people that like Nick Pope, Brittany Barbary, those people, that information was what I was excited. And I kept repeating about. That's the stuff that excited me, not the show.
Okay.
Not Demi. I'm not a Demi fan. As we saw, I had one song that, and she just happened to be on it that had her name in it.
That you claim. So I still have my doubts, but I love you, big guy.
Tastes so good on Thanksgiving, Goose. Oh.
Let's see. It's been a while since this guy's wrote in. I don't know if he's ever wrote into the radio show.
Now, hey, you got to say it in the right voice.
Okay, well, I will let you do that.
Ring Rick.
And it's like I said, it's been a while since he wrote in. I don't think he's ever wrote in on the radio show before. He has wrote in on the podcast. What was his name?
Ranger Rick.
He says, hello, Goose, Dirty Dan, and everyone else. I'm a new listener, so this is not the one that's wrote in before. I'm a new listener and just started listening to the show about a week ago. After
Really
listening
not
to
me.
what items you would take in a apocalyptic situation, how would you rate your survival skills? Before we
11 out of
move
10.
on, before I answer that, there was a Ranger Rick or a Rick Ranger or something like that
Rick Roll
did used to
Never
write
gonna
into the
give you
podcast early on. So how would I rate my survival skills? Well, I'm from Eastern Kentucky, so I know how to grow a garden. I know how to catch rainwater. I know how to purify water. I know how to fish. I know how to hunt. I know how to do that stuff with no modern tools available. I can still get it done. So on a scale of 1 to 10, I would rate my survival skills at 8.5.
11 out of 10.
Really? Why?
That is one thing I thrived on. As you know, I was a Boy Scout. Haha, teehee, all the merit badges. I'm an Eagle Scout. I was a very young Eagle Scout. And I often implored and set out to use those survival skills that I was able to learn and harness. I refuse to stay in an RV. I will always take a tent anywhere I go. If like my parents go camping or whatever, or friends, I will always sleep in a tent if I have to, or out under the stars. I learned how to use the bow for starting fires.
Making fire.
I have actually made arrowheads out of stone. I know how to, I'm very good with knots. Knots and lashings were my thing. I'm a great cook because, mama don't feed me. I do. And hunt, fish. I can skin, clean everything and utilize some of those bones to
make weapons and tools.
Weapons and also for hut building or lean-to building.
Right.
I used to love making shelters.
Well, to go along with some stuff that I was saying, I also was a really big fan of MacGyver when I was younger. So there you go.
I grew up on a dairy farm.
There you go, Ranger Rick. So we would definitely survive. Thank you very much for writing in.
Can you use a compass though?
Yes.
Not your phone compass.
Oh, no, I can use a real compass. I've done it before, my friend.
Okay.
So,
just making sure. Making sure.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Next
Last
email's
email for
yours.
us today. We got Marty writing in. Marty says, I've noticed that you guys have been doing a Halloween theme this month with your guest ghost stories, scary movie articles, and other things. What is your ultimate scary movie that gets you into the Halloween spirit? Roswell.
1978. Or I'm sorry, 1980. Original Halloween, John Carpenter. Or it might have been 78. So, John Carpenter's Halloween, the first one.
Casper.
Come on. Casper gets you in the Halloween spirit? What are you, like 12 years old? After you get done watching Casper, why don't you bring your bicycle and ride down to the arcade and meet the rest of the gang there?
I just wanted to see your reaction.
Okay. Hey, you're a Demi Lovato fan. I definitely wouldn't.
Oh, you son of a
Definitely would not doubt Casper.
That was like my first celebrity crush as a kid growing up was a girl in that movie though.
Oh, yeah, I can't think of her name right now.
I can't either. That tells you how much I still have a crush on her.
Christina Ricci is her name.
Oh, well,
yeah.
The more you know.
Yes. She started out, I think her first acting role was in the Addams Family. She played Wednesday.
Oh, did she?
So, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, she did.
Yes.
She did. That, I always forget about that show, and I do love that show.
Those are good.
Those are good. But I'm going to say my actual answer is The Exorcist.
Yeah. Do you know that I saw earlier today, and I did not read the article, but the guy that has redone the Halloween trilogy is going to do an Exorcist. He's set to do an Exorcist trilogy.
Oh, that's going to be bad.
They're redoing it, my friend. They're
That's
redoing
gonna be
it.
bad.
So you never know. They're redoing it. I want to thank everyone for sending us an email. You can always call, text, or leave a voicemail that we will play on the show. Please keep it clean, or if you want us to break bad news to somebody or play a practical joke on somebody, you can always call, text, or leave a voicemail. The number is 606-373-3396. Again, 606-373-3396. And if you want to email, how can they do that, Dirty Dan?
You can email goose@heretotchewbubblegum.com, Dirty Dan at heretotchewbubblegum.com, and Rebecca at heretotchewbubblegum.com. Or you can email in just to the show in general, or Ned or Elliot at heretotchewbubblegum@yahoo.com. And before we go on a break, I just want to say that anyone who thinks the we're calling about your car's extended warranty is a prank call, just know I'm actually an inspector for one of those companies. It's not as big of a prank as you think it is.
Oh yeah. See, dude, you have probably just made a lot of enemies.
That's fine.
So,
but I always help those enemies out. So if keep your friends closer, your enemies closer.
why don't you just go ahead and start cutting tags off and tell people you're the mattress police, that when they cut the tags off their mattresses, you're going to come and get them.
I used to when I fixed trash trucks.
You're listening to Here to Chew Bubblegum. We're going to take a break, have a Kentucky spooky story, and come back in segment 1. Dirty Dan's going to be talking about some strange signals from outer space. I'm going to be talking about William Shatner and his recent exchange with George Takei, an Antarctica UFO. And Dirty Dan's going to finish out segment 1 by talking about a NASA jet. You heard that correct. Again, you're listening to Here to Chew Bubblegum. We'll be back in just a moment.
Take a lighter look into the darker side of the world. Join Elliot, Gertie, and Beagle as they jump into the dark abyss of hauntings, fables, UFOs, and beyond. The Spooky Family Podcast. You can find them where you listen to quality podcasts.
It's now time for a Kentucky spooky story with Mercedes.
At the top of a Mitchell Hill Road is a cemetery, and the legend says buried there is a girl who died at the bottom of a hill in a car crash in the 1940s, when she and her boyfriend were on their way to prom. Apparently, some people have reported seeing the girl on top of the hill wearing her prom dress, wandering through the cemetery, or walking along the road.
You've been listening to a Kentucky spooky story with Mercedes.
Are you a horror movie fan? Yeah, I dig horror movies. Are you searching for a great internet horror talk radio show to listen to? Why, sure, that sounds quite spiffy. Then you need to tune into deadpit.com. It's the original horror talk radio show. Dead Pit is a show by the fans and for the fans. Uncensored and unbiased opinions are the goal of the show, giving fans honest reviews on new films and vintage classics of the horror genre. Make deadpit.com your #1 horror station destination.
From the heart of Appalachia, located under a shopping mall near the city that moves mountains, you're listening to Here to Chew Bubblegum with Goose and Dirty Dan.
And you're back with Goose and Dirty Dan of Here to Chew Bubblegum.
Kentucky
like my
spooky
sexy
stories.
voice?
Well, I'm not my mom. I can let my mom listen to it. So I'm sure she definitely did. So I'm sure
The
she definitely
angelic
did.
voice of the one and only Dirty Dan.
I wouldn't say mangelic, but I mean, you can go ahead and say that if you want to.
I am only repeating what I have been told by our listeners.
Yeah.
Sir. It is in black and white several times.
I can understand that. I'll let you go ahead and start out segment 1 with the strange signal from space story.
Yes. So recently, signals have been detected from the galaxy core that have never been seen anything like it before. Astronomers have detected radio signals from a galaxy core that fit no currently understood pattern of variable radio source. A mysterious radio signal has been detected by an international PhD student in the School of Physics at the University of Sydney. Zaiting Wang explained in a new study published in the Astrophysical Journal that the mysterious radio signals were detected using CSIROs and ASCAP radio telescope that's located in Western Australia. The PhD student pointed that the radio telescope towards the center of the Milky Way galaxy and found the brightness of the object also varies dramatically by a factor of 100, and the signal switches on and off apparently at random, and they've never seen anything like it. The discovery of these unusual radio signals has suggested that it could be a new class of stellar object. Over the course of 9 months throughout 2020, most observations were conducted with international researchers, and in total, the astronomers were able to detect 6 different radio signals from the source. Additionally, it should be noted that the astronomers attempted to view the source of the radio signals in visible light, and yet they saw nothing. At the moment, these radio signals remain uncategorized, but according to Wang's PhD supervisor, Professor Tara Murphy, the Transcontinental Square Kilometer Array, or SCA radio telescope, which is expected to be turned online sometime in the next 10 years, will be able to assist in discovering the source of the radio waves. Dr. Murphy also said, looking towards the center of the galaxy, we found ASCAP J17368.2-321635, named after its coordinates. This object was unique in that it started out invisible, became bright, faded away, then reappeared. This behavior was extraordinary. What do you think about that?
I think that there is signals out there, and I mean there is more that they have received. This one they seem to have pinpointed the location. Correct? They know the general area where it's coming from.
Yeah, and I think
some of the others I don't think that they have.
No, a lot of the others have been just random waves, radio waves that they've caught, but this one has been turning on and off at random.
Yeah,
I think we might have just finally discovered a different life form's space station.
That is a very good thought. You know, I never thought about another life form having a space station. That's a very good idea.
It's not a planet,
right?
It's not a solid state. So it's moving around this general location. It's randomly going on and off, and it's got brightness visibility that dramatically increases, decreases by a factor of 100. So it could be a power station. It could like a Death Star.
I don't think it's a Death Star.
No, but I mean like the form, like it could be a large platform of a different species.
Well, yeah, definitely. It could be that. I'll give you that one.
Maybe it's what Demi Lovato saw.
It could be. You would know because you have a crush on Demi Lovato. Right? Yes, you do.
I'd rather go for that chick that apparently has 24 hybrid kids.
Or is it Poot Lovato that you have a crush on?
Now, Poot, she's a hottie.
So... we're going to have to talk about that on the show real in the future. We're going to talk about that on the podcast show. Poot Lovato, Poot, Poot Lovato is supposedly Demi Lovato's twin sister that they've kept her away from the public, and
they kept her locked in a basement for 24 years.
Yeah, that's basically what it says. You know, there's a conspiracy theory going around with that, but you know, Dirty Dan has an investigation in progress, and he will find out the truth about Poot. The answer is to poot or not to poot.
I'm sniffing it out.
Okay. William Shatner, we've talked about him the last couple of weeks about how he's went up into space. Star Trek's William Shatner claps back at George Takei's unfit comments following space flight. William Shatner took his own shot at George Takei. Star Trek's William Shatner recently went into space and in the process became the oldest person to ever make the journey. Many around the world celebrated the achievement through fellow Trek alumni George Takei raised eyebrows with a questionable remark about his co-star's recent venture. Now Shatner has clapped back with a statement of his own. George Takei spoke about his former co-star at an event and essentially stated that the actor made a good test subject for the effects of space travel on the human body. While these statements and sentiments were relatively tame, he then took a shot at William Shatner's body and referred to him as an unfit specimen. From a physical standpoint, Shatner responded to the quote on his Twitter, asking fans not to retaliate while throwing a little shade of his own. Shatner's tweet said, "Don't hate George. He only gets press. The only time he gets press is when he talks bad about me. He claims 50 plus years ago I took away a camera angle that denied him 30 more seconds of primetime TV. I'm giving it back to him now by letting him spew his hatred for the world to see." Much like the original comment, the Captain Kirk's actor statement has niceties that ultimately get a little shady throughout the back half. It's yet to be seen how other sentiments will be taken by George Takei, who has spoken at length over the years about his former colleagues' alleged behavior towards him on the set of Star Trek. The two Star Trek actors have been at odds for decades and don't appear to get along well. The public feud didn't start until after the work on the show ended, specifically when George Takei began discussing alleged things William Shatner's did on set. Shatner in turn accused Takei of trying to deliberately injure him during their infamous sword fighting scene in the episode titled The Naked Time. The former Sulu actor hasn't shared a response to his fellow Trek alumni, so perhaps both sides now have spoken their piece. Fans hope as much, and they would likely prefer to see the other two on great terms, especially during the twilights of their careers. It's unfortunate that not everyone involved with the franchise can have a relationship like Captain Kirk and Spock had. So basically, George Takei calls William Shatner fat and said that he was a good specimen to send for the effects of space travel on the human body, also saying he was unfit. So those guys have been into it for years, and nobody really knows how it started.
And when it comes to William Shatner, I think he was doing the right thing, but for the wrong group of people with the Travelocity commercials.
Right.
And, if he would have done it for this other group that I firmly believe, he wouldn't have been able to have been called fat there, because if he would have had Subway, he could have eaten fresh.
I don't. Did Subway offer him a commercial?
Yeah, and he declined it.
Really? Well, see, no, that's hard for me to believe because, there's a lot of people know this and some people don't. After Star Trek was canceled in the 70s, he would go to people's parties dressed up as Captain Kirk. You could pay him like $100, and he would go in.
Better to do.
He would go in and do that. And he was broke. He was penniless. I think at that time he may have even been divorced. And he was showing up at people's parties dressed as Captain Kirk because he was Captain Kirk. And then you had the Star Trek movies come back out, and that started his acting back up. And, I honestly never thought that he turned down a project after that because he went through the hard time.
When the whole Jared thing happened with Subway, before it moved to the other guy, they had offered him a commercial. He did one,
right?
But he was still doing the Travelocity.
Gotcha. So he had to pick.
Yeah.
I guess Travelocity paid more. I don't know if he still does, but I think he may live close to you guys down there because he actually does own a farm somewhere in Lexington, maybe on the outskirts. It's either Lexington or Georgetown. He owns a horse farm.
Oh, it's probably Lexington.
So
there's some big money. It is Lexington because Bill Murray stops at his house.
Okay.
and that they've been spotted together in Lexington at Derby time. So
Gotcha.
it is Lexington.
Gotcha. Moving on to one of my favorite subjects, Antarctica. In this story, a UFO crashed in Antarctica and is now guarded by tanks that can be seen with the help of satellite images. The McMurdo station has been discovered by UFOologists using Google Earth. Ever since then, the station has become the main U.S. research station in Antarctica. What UFOologists discovered in this are that the mysterious crafts have landed or crashed there, and that they appeared to be guarded by four shapes covered with snow that resembles tanks. Immediately following the discovery, caused the attention of Americans and a settled station there. As you can see in the image, the landing of the object left a trail behind it, which suggests that the accident occurred before the picture was taken by Google Earth. We don't know what it is, but we are quite convinced that it is something very important. If it wasn't there, there would be no tanks protecting the area. So why are the tanks there? No one seems to know. We've speculated about the existence of a secret base or a UFO crash that remained frozen for many years. We don't have an answer yet, but we will keep you informed. And to view this for yourself from Google Earth, you can search the lat long coordinates 77 degrees 49 47.46 south, long 166 degrees 52.31 east, and you will see what appears to be a craft USO that is apparently being guarded by Army tanks. It's either crashed or landed, but it does have four tanks surrounding it.
East.
Yes.
I thought you said west.
West, east, whatever. Moving on to the NASA jet story. Dirty Dan, please share that with us, my friend.
All right. So, NASA's quiet, in quotes, supersonic X-59 jet is approaching its first flight. Newly released time-lapse footage from the U.S. Space Agency shows the merging of the major aircraft sections of NASA's X-59 Quiet Supersonic Technology, or Quest, aircraft. A blog post from NASA explains. The X-59, whose design was revealed to the public in 2019, is gradually taking shape as NASA, in partnership with Lockheed Martin, aims to create a jet that could reignite commercial supersonic air travel almost 2 decades after the Concorde's last flight. The quietest of sonic booms. The construction of X-59 is taking place at Lockheed Martin's Skunk Works in Palmdale, California. Once completed, the supersonic jet will be capable of cruising at Mach 1.4 or 925 miles an hour. The X-59 was specifically designed with a thin 30-foot long nose that lowers the sound of the sonic boom when the jet surpasses the speed of sound at 767 miles an hour. That should allow it to reach supersonic speeds very soon after takeoff. The Concorde, by comparison, had to remain at a lower speed over populated areas due to its immense sonic boom. NASA awarded Lockheed Martin a $247.5 million contract to develop the X-59. The company is expected to finish the construction of the supersonic jet this year before moving on to the test flight phase in early 2022. According to Inceptive Mind, the finished aircraft is expected to be 94 feet long and have a wingspan of only 29.5 feet. It will have a maximum takeoff weight of 32,300 pounds and should reach top speeds of about Mach 1.5 or 990 miles an hour. The short video clip that was released by NASA shows the piecing together of various parts of the X-59's fuselage and its wings. We've now transitioned from being a bunch of separate parts sitting around on different parts of the production floor to somewhat of an airplane, said Jay Brandon, NASA chief engineer for the Low Boom Flight Demonstrator project. A caption in the NASA blog post also says that the construction process that's shown in the video marks the first time the X-59 actually resembles a real aircraft. The engineers working on the project used laser projections to quickly check that pre-drilled parts were correctly fitted during construction. These extensive use of features and pre-drilled full-size fastener holes has significantly reduced the time it takes to locate and fit parts, especially mating large assemblies like this, said David Richardson, Lockheed Martin's program director. It is sort of like how Legos, yes, Legos go together. We use a laser tracker to make sure it is all aligned per the engineering specs before we permanently bolted it all together. NASA and Lockheed Martin aren't the only companies aiming to form part of a resurgence in supersonic commercial flight. Boom Supersonic, for example, recently told IE in a March interview that it aims to remove the barriers of experiencing the planet. The company was recently granted a $3 billion contract from United Airlines as part of its plans to go carbon neutral. Though the X-59 only has space for one pilot and no passengers, NASA aims to eventually develop the aircraft's quiet supersonic jet technology for commercial flights and possibly also for the U.S. military. The new aircraft, nicknamed by some as the Son of the Concorde, signals a new era of commercial supersonic flight. Supersonic planes, however, might be speedy, but they have one distinct problem. They generate an unbearably loud sound. When an aircraft travels faster than the speed of sound, shockwaves form and travel away from the aircraft, merging and generating sonic booms heard on the ground for miles. NASA, working with Skunk Works, their goal is to transform aviation through its faster than sound X-59 Quest aircraft that reduces sonic booms to a barely audible sonic thump. The new single-seat plane will cruise at an altitude of around 55,000 feet while moving at the speed of about Mach 1.4. But what it won't have, however, is a forward-facing window. Instead, it will rely on a NASA-developed external vision system, or XVS. According to Forbes, NASA's XVS subsystem lead, Randy Bailey, calls the artificial vision system the last line of defense in the domain where the pilot can use a system to see an oncoming air vehicle. Way before we get to that point, we have ATC, air traffic control, and ADS-B information, assuming the other air traffic is on it, he explained. The X-59 does not include a forward canopy in order to maintain its long needle nose shaped, Bailey also added. Instead, it uses what Bailey refers to as an electronic window. NASA's electronic window XVS system includes a pair of high-res cameras and a 4K monitor. The first 4K camera is located atop and slightly ahead of the cockpit and is augmented with synthetic vision capability, allowing the pilot to artificially see through fog and clouds. A second camera is underneath the nose that will extend during takeoff and landings, and in this sense, the aircraft is fully covered and does not require a window. NASA's XVS system provides all the visual information required for a pilot to fly safely. Allegedly.
Fly this with no windows. Here, I want you to drive this car, but I don't want no windows in it.
And I just like, it just boggles my mind that they said it's the last line of defense so that the pilot can see an oncoming air vehicle. You're going almost 1,000 miles an hour, okay? Mm-hmm. You have to have a correction factor of about 2 miles, 2.5 miles to avoid collision, to avoid jet wash, like.
Right. Have you saw some of those videos on YouTube where they're working with the self-driving trucks that make deliveries, like the self-driving 18-wheelers? What's your thoughts on that? Do you think we'll actually see that on the road in the next 2 or 3 years?
Coming from the guy who works on those by day, heck no. Okay.
So you work on those, on the self-driving trucks?
Oh, just 18-wheelers in general.
Right.
And Freightliner actually
these
developed,
are self-driving, maybe 12-wheelers.
So Freightliner actually has an active radar technology they've had out and have revised the last couple of years, but had out for about 5-6 years now. And at first it was just like a passive cruise control, right. But now it's an active cruise control lane assist. So and hill assist, like even in a manual, you can turn it on and it'll start out for you up to 5 miles an hour. It can change lanes. It always keeps you in the right lane. It will slow down, speed up. That's obviously more so on the automatics of the speeding up and slowing down, but it does give you an alert when to shift, and it will allow you to do that without shutting off and restarting.
If it comes to that, will truckers be just getting up and walking around inside the cabin?
Oh, son, they have it. They have captain's chairs where you can turn and get up.
Right.
It's scary. It's scary because, and
so
any of you real truck drivers out there that listen to this, you know what I mean when I say steering wheel holders. I don't know how they get their license.
Okay. So do you honestly think in the next 3 to 5 years we'll have cars and trucks driving by themselves?
Cars and trucks? No.
Do you think we'll have cars driving by themselves? I mean, you have to be in the car, but you
Right.
can sit wherever and it's driving itself.
Well, I mean, technically we already do.
Well, but I mean on a wide scale.
No,
Okay. Why?
because the one person who does have the technology that was self-developed, and I stand behind this, and not even because it's Elon, but it's because of understanding the way business works, hasn't gotten the price that is deserved for that technology yet.
Right. But once it gets more affordable, do you think we'll see more of it?
No,
Okay.
I don't think this whole EV and hybrid thing is gonna take off either. I know they keep saying like, oh, by 2025 or by 2027 we're gonna have no more gas engines, no more diesel engines. Guess what? It's going to get so ridiculously expensive because not enough stuff can be moved at one time because the power and longevity isn't there.
Right.
That it's going to end up being reverted.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So you think we could have a second coal boom back in my area?
Honestly, yeah.
Well,
I do.
Good, good. I would like to see that because that would put a lot of people back to work back here, and that would, make things be like similar to like it used to be.
Yeah.
We're going to step away and take a break. We're going to have a new Mysterious Appalachian Mountains with Seth. And when we come back, Dirty Dan is going to talk about a UFO over New Jersey. And I'm going to talk about someone that found a USB stick and what it had on it. You're listening to Here to Chew Bubblegum. We'll be back in just a moment.
Yesterday I looked into the sky. Saw a free bird, a flying high. I wish I could turn that clock back in time, but God's got his reasons for everything. But Southern bands are never gonna die.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is Elliot from the Spooky Family Podcast, and I want to remind you that our buddy, the Paranormal Trucker, has a brand new podcast out. Yes, you can catch the Paranormal Trucker and his crew, Snowman and Large Marge, anytime on YouTube.
They're going to bring you spooky tales from the road, ghost stories, updates on new tech, conspiracy theories, and everyone's open road favorite, unidentified aerial phenomenon.
Be sure and tell them Large Marge sent ya.
Welcome to the Mysterious Appalachian Mountains with Seth and Earl, and we have a special guest who is a legend, Mr. Haunted. How are you doing today, sir?
A legend. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. I'm doing great.
Absolutely, man. And I know you got a Bigfoot story for us tonight here on the Mysterious Appalachian Mountains.
You know, I was scouring the internet for stories, and I think I got a good one for you. This one's called Bigfoot Bolted Down My Driveway. And this comes out of Bee Springs, Kentucky. The witness's name is Eric, and this happened in the summer of 1974 around noon. Shall I begin?
Yes, sir.
All right. It was a warm summer's day around July or August, and I was inside my house in the living room watching TV. I just happened to get up and notice some movement out the front living room window, which was right beside me. I saw this huge unknown creature come running from the big woods across the road from my house, which is in the Noland Lake area, and run across the road and down our driveway, headed towards the back of our house. My dad had his car parked in the driveway, and as the creature passed the car, I noticed the top of the car struck the creature at about its lower waistline. So that's how big this thing was. As it went out of view of the window and around the corner of the house, I immediately ran out the front door and to the corner of the house it had ran around. So he said, don't ask me why, I just did. I watched the creature from behind as it entered the cornfield behind our house, and it continued to run towards the thick wood behind our property. It was 7 feet tall or a little taller, and my best guess at weight would be 375 to 400 pounds. It had a very stocky build and completely covered with long reddish brown hair that was 4 to 6 inches long. I remember the hair flowing in the wind as this creature ran. The only parts of its body that had no hair were the palms of its hands and the bottom of his feet and his facial area. I noticed his eyes were large and dark. Its nose was flat, but the nostrils were downward facing and not completely flat like a gorilla's would be. It had a big wide mouth, which was closed, so I couldn't see any teeth. I didn't smell anything or odor when I got outside and watched the creature run away. I also noticed it was extremely quiet as it ran, and the only noise it made was as it entered the cornfield as it crashed its way through the corn stalks, making a big path as it barged through. We lived in the country and we had an old TV with rabbit ear antennas on top, and we only got 2 or 3 channels. So what I'm saying is I didn't know what a Bigfoot was. So I had no idea what this thing was that I've seen. So years later, when I saw Bigfoot on TV, I realized I might have saw a Bigfoot. And that's the story called The Bigfoot Bolted Down My Driveway. Now, I also want to remind you that this happened in 1974, and the guy presently is 53. So he was only 6 or 7 years old when this happened in 1974.
Wow. And what's your opinion on that story, Earl?
Well, if what I would wonder about it is, well, for one thing, you said he was like 6 years old. For one thing, second thing, his description had quite a bit of detail, and a lot of detail, and then it was supposedly running away from him, and he gave a description of its face and everything. That would be kind of what I would wonder about. It's a lot of detail for something that was moving, and it fits the description perfectly, actually, almost. But it's I would just wonder about that.
I liked his detail. I just thought, like, to notice that there was no hair on his palms or the bottom of his feet. That was
right. Right.
To notice that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was a lot of detail, and to notice that and it moving and everything. And this is a 6-year-old, which usually when you're getting to someone that age, they're not going to make something up. But I would wonder, when was the story? How old was he when he told the story?
Well, he claims, one of my questions was, like, did you tell your parents, like, as soon as they got home or when you saw them, about this incident? And what did they say? But there's nothing about that. But I also think he said it was so impactful on him that's how he remembered everything. But still, it's so much detail.
Right.
And then he said, like you said, at the time he didn't know what a Bigfoot was, and it was till years later when he saw it on TV. And then he just recently, I think in 2017, was searching Bigfoot, Kentucky, to try to find, see if there were similar stories. And then he reported it. So, and then the person that interviewed him was Don Meal, and he said he found him to.
Buddies.
Is he? He said he found him. He said he found him to be very intelligent, well spoken. He seemed like he didn't seem like he was making up a story, but there are a lot of questions, aren't there?
Right. Yeah.
Don Neal has seen everything when it comes to Bigfoot. He's seen every story. He's he's heard and seen everything that you can see in a Bigfoot report and stuff, man. So if Don finds him credible, then he's definitely credible.
Yeah. I'm glad I wrote the guy's name down because that probably helped the story a little bit.
Absolutely, man. We want to thank Mr. Haunted for reading the story. We want to thank Earl for doing this every week. And this has been the Mysterious Appalachian Mountains here on Here to Chew Bubblegum. We want to thank Here to Chew Bubblegum for having us. Y'all have a good night, and God bless.
You can always call, text, or leave a voicemail for Here to Chew Bubblegum at 606-373-3396.
Are you a horror movie fan? Yeah, I dig horror movies. Are you searching for a great internet horror talk radio show to listen to? Why, sure, that sounds quite spiffy. Then you need to tune into deadpit.com. It's the original horror talk radio show. Dead Pit is a show by the fans and for the fans. Uncensored and unbiased opinions are the goal of the show, giving fans honest reviews on new films and vintage classics of the horror genre. Make deadpit.com your #1 horror station destination.
Without a doubt, together always. We scratch and fight with all our might, but that's a life always, forever and always. We scream and shout without a doubt, together always. We scratch and fight with all our might, but that's a life
And you're back yet again with Here to Chew Bubblegum with your favorites, Goose and Dirty Dan.
Yes, we are. And checking the time, Dirty Dan. We're going to have to pull your stories. It's getting about that time, about time to almost wrap things up. Dirty Dan will have the UFO over New Jersey story next week. I'm going to briefly talk about, and you can look this story up online. Man found a memory stick containing many photos with UFOs in space. A man known as Quintonio recently came across a jarring discovery while walking home from work. Despite the fact that he lived in a small village around Berlin, Germany for the majority of his life, he never figured what he would stumble across would be such an insane discovery. He was walking very close to an area known as Steiner by the locals when he saw a very strange-looking USB stick on the ground. He picked it up and noticed a very strange symbol on it. In fact, it was extremely old. He took it home and plugged it into, I'm not expecting it to work, he said, but after he did, he realized the fact that the USB was filled with 28 pictures of space, planets, and UFOs. He also discovered the fact that they all dated back to the 1990s, and after looking into them some more, he discovered the fact that this stick was most likely filled with pictures snapped by the old Voyager satellite. The first Voyager was launched on September 15th, 1977, while the second one was launched August 20th, 1977. So the time certainly does match up. After he uploaded the pictures, they were quickly removed off the internet by a mysterious after he uploaded the pictures, they were quickly removed off the internet mysteriously. When he re-uploaded them for his convenience, they were since deleted as well. Number one, if you're walking around and you find a USB stick, please do not use your own computer to open up that USB stick. If you have an old computer that's been factory reset, if you have a new computer that has no ties to you, then open it up.
I was going to say, or you paid a little money and got a computer that is a little special.
Do not do it with anything that's connected to you. But those were on the ground, and he did have some pictures in the story. Again, for that story, just DuckDuckGo or go to Google and search Quintino USB stick found. And
we should keep
you'll be
tabs
able
on
to
this
check
guy.
those out. Yeah. That's something we'll definitely follow up on. Dirty Dan, as we take us out, who are you? Before you do that, I want to remind everyone you can always call, text, or leave a voicemail by calling 606-373-3396. That's 606-373-3396. Or they can email. How can they do that, Dirty Dan?
Well, if they want you, then email goose@heretotchewbubblegum.com, me, Dirty Dan, @heretotchewbubblegum.com, and Rebecca @heretotchewbubblegum.com. Or you can email to the show, Ned or Elliot, @heretotchewbubblegum@yahoo.com.
Very well said, my friend. And who are you talking about this month as we wrap the show up?
Well, this will probably be the last week for these guys for the main focus, but it is the Till Valhalla Project. They were established in 2017, rocking the slogan, "Where heroes live on forever," and under their wonderful tribute of a logo. The TVP team is all about bringing and spreading the awareness of the help our vets and soldiers desperately need. The ones who devote and sacrifice their time to protect our lives and freedoms, and sometimes, and all too much, unfortunately, give the ultimate sacrifice of their own lives for us. Their mission is to do whatever it takes, anything to get the name and purpose out to the masses. The sale of the products is obviously going to make a difference, but it's the conversations and the awareness that those will bring to less than the 22 a day plus one active duty that is far more significant than any monetary donation can be. We need to support each other, and most notably our brothers and sisters and the families that they left behind. Starting in 2019, the Till Valhalla Project donated or ramped up their donations to an additional 20% of net proceeds towards reducing veteran suicide, and they have now, in under 2 full years, raised over $1 million. That number grows every day, and it's towards the battle against veteran suicide. Veteran suicide is a plague, and they are making their stand to stop it. And it's not just soldiers anymore and vets. It's about everybody. They want to end all suicide, or as much of it as they can. So go ahead, give them a shout, check them out, donate, support, buy their merch, tillvalhallaproject.com. And let's not forget the boys over at AWP, Adventures with Purpose. You can check them out on YouTube, Adventures with Purpose, or go to the website, adventureswithpurpose.com.
And I want to say special thanks to Carlin for all the voiceover work. Don't forget about the new Midlife Crisis album available now. Also, be sure to check out and support our friends of this show that have their own shows. I'm talking about CK and Uncle Bill over at deadpit.com, Talk Junkie with Justin Perkins, Jordan and Brad of Down on the Holler, Seth Ambergy with Assess Daily Podcast, Elliot Gertie and Beagle of the Spooky Family Podcast.com, the Mountain Mysteries Podcast with Chris Sloan. Also, don't forget about our buddy Cronkite, Snowman, and Large Marge over at Paranormal Trucker. If you want to awaken more, check out Rebecca Short on TikTok and Honest Rebecca Thoughts on Twitch. That'll do it for this week. We'll see you next week, and until then, so long for now.
Maybe I'm not leaving. Maybe I'm just going home.
Thanks for listening to Here to Chew Bubblegum. Tune in next time as we dive deeper into things the government doesn't want us to know.